Forever in my mind, only you. The pieces in my life go away with you. Forever in my mind, only you. The pieces in my life run away with you. You're my first love. You're my first love.
We didn't have any response. So like, that's not going to work. And so MGM actually got mad at the police, and the police changed their story again to be, no, actually, Jose Campos got shot at about 40 seconds after the shooting started. During the shooting volleys is when that's the third and final version of the official story of Jose Campos. And Jose Campos put out a statement that was something like, I do not contest that statement. That was like his official statement, very much canned, and then just like, poof, he was gone. Obviously.
Wait, didn't he wind up in Mexico?
Yeah, there was a thing where he was going to test
his car to Mexico.
Yeah, so I think it was that he was going to do a bunch of news stories, and he was kind of like lined up for a bunch of news hits, and then he just like, actually he went to Mexico. Who knows? But then he got brought back and did Ellen, is what it was, right?
Yes.
And he got brought back to do Ellen. Ellen was sponsored by the casinos because she had all the slot machines.
The
rolling,
ultimate deep
right?
stater. Ellen.
So he did one Ellen interview where Ellen fed him all of his lines, and then he disappeared. And that became the narrative for him.
Has he ever emerged to tell his story?
Not that I know of.
One thing I left out was the initial approach, and they looked out in the hallway when they observed the cameras on the room service cart. It was obviously there was several rounds discharged through the door, and through the blast of the bullets through the door, you could actually see a weapon through those openings in the door, but no suspect was seen. And through the blast of the bullets through the door, you could actually see a weapon through those openings in the door, but no suspect was seen.
I don't know if it's a pellet or a 22 or multiple. Do we have access to this room? The direction I'm shooting is probably the peephole. So look out for that. Hey guys, the direction I'm shooting is probably the people, so look out for that.
He ever emerged to tell his story?
Not that I know of. And to be fair, I haven't done enough digging into his story yet. To be fair, I feel like I could spend another year digging into this, and I still would only be approaching the kind of expertise that some of these other guys have about it, because they did devote years and years and years to this. And there's just so much to learn and to look at, because it's such a crazy event with so many pieces of evidence. And Campos is this one really interesting one that exposes a lot of elements of what was going on here, in that you had the hotel's interests in their reputation, their money, whatever was going on. You have the way that hotel employees were a part of this thing, but then had to, represent after the thing. You have the police narrative involved in his story. And you have a really important detail in that, let's think it through. If the sounds that we all hear in those videos, this is happening inside of that hotel room, and you can hear it all across the Las Vegas Strip, it's like, these are deafening sounds, obviously.
Yes.
If Jose is in the hallway right outside of that door, you damn well better believe he remembers if that was happening when he got shot at.
Yeah. Someone's opens up with automatic weapons, it resonates.
Yeah, it's not like Campos doesn't remember.
Thought there were fireworks.
It's not like he changed his story because he didn't know if there was this cacophony of automatic gunfire happening across the door. Obviously, that is a shifting narrative to meet various needs of whatever the narrative builders need.
This is the stairwell toward the boulevard, right? We got fired up floors, up one.
Control 3 Mary, boulevard shut down, north and southbound, Russell Road.
Copy that.
Toledo. One 59 is coming from like the 3060th floor, north of the Menway Bay, coming out a window.
That's gotta be ours, 32nd floor.
Silver Plan 7910 a few mobile flashes in the middle
32nd?
of Mandalay Bay on the north side, kind of a west tower, but towards the center of the casino, up one of the middle floors.
Center, up towards the casino.
Yeah,
holy fuck.
But the nature of him getting shot through that door is interesting. Once you start to put away the mainstream narrative and just look at all the information as it is and try to figure out what the hell was this and what went on here, and we'll have to kind of rewind at the beginning to unpack that, because there's a lot of facts that we haven't even talked about yet that become very important.
Is that a zip line? It's a person, isn't it?
It kind of looks like a person daily, but also a button.
It's a person, isn't it?
It kind of looks like a person daily, but also a button.
I have no idea.
Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Or it's like right next to the moon.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a person floating.
Yeah.
It looks like a person floating.
Yeah.
It looks like a person floating.
Yeah.
Possibility shooter Stephen Paddock may have been planning a getaway.
But trying to figure out what happened with him and why he got shot through the door at that moment, and maybe even when he did get shot through the door, that's interesting because it involves the fact that there was cameras rigged up outside the door facing into the hallway to surveil the hallway for whatever, to protect whatever was happening inside the room. They weren't recording video, but they were live. You know what I mean? So whoever was watching their feeds could see the other side, could see the hallway. And so as a security guard approaches this door, whenever he approached it, I mean, based upon the fact that the first testimony was that it was not when gunfire was happening actively, I would assume that he approached the door when there was no automatic gunfire happening actively. But I don't know. But whoever's in the room doing whatever they're doing, and it was guaranteed, it was definitely more than one person, and we can talk about the door locks in a minute. They see a security guard on these cameras, and their response is to shoot a round of fire through the doorway at him to get him to go away, or to kill him, you know, whatever. And that's really weird. That's really interesting because obviously it implies that whatever's happening in the room, you need him to not come in. You need him to not knock. So obviously there's something happening in the room that needs to be finished before the heat comes. But like, we have pretty strong evidence at this point that Paddock was dead by then. Paddock was not a part of this. And whatever was happening in the room It's like, what was happening in the room? What were you doing that needed to be finished before the heat came to that room? Because they had taken the time to put this tiny little L bracket, this little metal L bracket on the stairwell door so people couldn't come up the stairs onto the floor right next to their room. But it was like a little Home Depot thing. It was not the kind of thing you need the SWAT team to bust down. And they'd rigged up these cameras. And so then it's like, okay, your brain, if you don't take the narrative, the mainstream narrative at all, it's like, what is this? Is this like a heist? Is this like a casino heist or something? Which is not what I think it was. But it's just, if you start to ask, like, what could that be that's happening in that room? Is this like Ocean's 11 and they need to like protect part of their heist or something until they get away with the jewels? It's like, maybe that starts to explain a piece of this. But that's what I mean by, like, when you look at the original evidence and you try to square it with like an explanation that fits it all, it starts to get pretty fascinating and pretty weird. And in order to do that, we have to rewind past Campos back to the start, because we know for a fact that Paddock wasn't alone in that room.
All right. Okay, so room 135 on the 32nd floor, registered guest, last name is Paddock.
There's also 3 females that are registered to that room. First name is Joanne, Joanne. Last name. Second subject, Laura. Last name. Third subject, Katie. Last name. They checked in on 25 September. Scheduled to check out on October 2nd.
And we know for almost complete certain fact that he was dead before any of this even happened.
Any of the shooting happened.
Yeah, before any of the shooting happened. And just to kind of wet our whistle on that. Yeah. We don't know it for fact, but the actual official photo of Paddock dead in the room, like overhead looking down at him with the blood stain.
Yes.
There's very clearly 2 blood stains. It's very clearly a dry blood stain that's been like dried into the carpet that is one color, and then a fresh, like glistening red blood stain that is much smaller and fresher and redder over top of it. And there's blood on his chest in that photo for some reason. Although if you commit suicide, shoot yourself in the head, there's no reason why you would have a giant singular blood stain on your chest.
No.
And so really quickly, while we're in this room here at that moment, let's unpack some of the other things that very much just debunk this regular narrative, that are hard evidence that you can view for yourself. The SWAT team that they were waiting for to breach his room, they never came.
Go. Got your back. Go. They got 3. What do they need? God, boss.
All the way down to the end. Saving. Every room. Hey, do you guys have a master for this? Yes. Coming up. Every room has been No, that's the last one. Who's going? Too many.
Although Las Vegas has one of the largest SWAT teams in America, one of the largest SWAT teams in the world, they never came. The actual team that breached his room, we have one body cam that shows it, and they put out a report saying who was in the breaching party. It was one SWAT officer, I think it was 2 canine officers whose dogs they left back in the cars, and then a bunch of other police officers that just kind of like hodgepodged in there. And that becomes very important later when you start to ask where the fuck were the SWAT officers? What were the SWAT doing? Because they were doing something. But they didn't, the story is that they're waiting for the SWAT team. And the mainstream media at first tried to run with like this crazy, like CNN actually has a clip that I can give to you where the next day or 2 days later, CNN is like, tells a fantasy about how the SWAT team busted down the door and Paddock tried to fight his way through them and they had a gun battle and Paddock shot one of the SWAT guys in the leg.
What?
And he got out into the hall before they neutralized him. Yeah, they just like literally made up fantasy.
Right. It's been back and forth on this one. You know, it was initially reported that perhaps he had taken his own life at the very moment the SWAT team was making entry into his room on the 32nd floor. Now they've clarified that point. They say that as the SWAT officers actually broke in the door, that the gunman charged them, made it through the door, struggled with the officers, and was able to get off at least one shot, wounding one SWAT officer in the leg, and then the gunman was killed.
There was an action. All right, Martin Savage, thank you very much. And, you know, when you think about what happened here, it happened over 10 to 15 minutes, which can seem like an eternity or sound like not much time at all for such horrific carnage. At the end, 59 people, as of this moment, have died. 527 more are wounded tonight.
On CNN live, and I have the recording. I'll give it to you, and obviously that none of that happened at all. And we know now from eventual release of files, documents, and a body cam that it was only one SWAT guy and all these other police officers. And so we have this body cam from Officer Bitsko that they had to fight to get released, and we only have one because they told everyone to turn their body cams off.
I don't know. We went fucking the very top and dude, this
my camera's on. My camera's on too.
Yeah.
Turn them off.
Turn them off. Yeah, my camera's on too.
And that happened multiple times throughout the night. And I've got the clips and I can share them with you. And they are on that map that I was telling people about, so other people can go and find them for themselves too. Where like a bunch of officers are like around about to do something. And there's a couple instances throughout the night where this happens, where then they kind of are like, all right, body cams off, body cams off, body cams off. And they're all going around and turning off their body cams. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure if we ever found out why. It's possible we did. Bitsko didn't turn his off. So
about 15 to 18 for 19.
He took out 2 windows.
Officer Bitsko's body cam, he's one of the canine officers, that does exist. And we do have body cam footage of the breach.
Control 765.
765.
As far as I know right now, everybody's being evacuated to the east coast. I know at the east end of one of these roads, Mandalay Bay Drive or whatever, one of them goes into the airport. So if you make contact with anybody at the airport,
Control, standby 3. I just got a report that citizens shots just fired. 2 shots in the park area of New York, New York.
Copy, using to be advisors. 2 shots fired in the park area of New York, New York. Now they're also saying one at Aria.
Control 654, so far New York, New York is clear. Negative shot fired. 3 was park area.
Copy.
206, 335 zebra.
We have an influx of returning ambulances and rigs for transport. The casualty collection point at the boulevard in Tropicana is clear. Is there any other casualty collection point they need to respond to?
Yep. Looks like it might be a camera of some sort. But it didn't take multiple cameras.
Carroll 9, we're sending 2 teams in Excalibur right now, based on the earlier detail.
So we need 2 teams at Excalibur.
Just on the boulevard of Tropicana, you got
I'm gonna hold on this door.
that way.
Okay.
We went through the roadblock of cones. And eastbound on Tropicana at the boulevard now. Looks like a
We have this contained. There is no need for anybody else up here. If there's other situations going on, then let's address those. We're a code 4 here. We've got patrol units that are clearing down the right.
Hey, Jair, I can't tell what direction this room is. Let me get to a window and see.
Hey! What do you need? Any more patrol officers there? We have this contained. There is no need for anybody else up here.
And they breach the door, and one of them accidentally shoots 3 rounds. Like, just... Like, they just tripping out. Even though the official story is like Paddock wasn't alive, he was already dead on the ground. He had been dead there for an hour. There's no reason to shoot his rifle, but they were just hyped up, I guess. So they breach the door. 3 rounds go off really fast, which is kind of a nothing. And then they enter the room. And when they enter the room, they're looking for the window where this guy's shot out of. And you can watch it on the body cam. And they go to the windows and they pull the curtains back. And they're like, nope, I have no broken window. No, it's not broken. No window. And they pull the other curtains back and they're looking. And they all are like, there's no broken window. There's no window.
Okay, Jair, we are facing north. We are facing north.
Just confirming that is you guys that's in the broken window that faces the left floor.
We are facing the left floor. We do not have a broken window.
Okay, copy. It looks like you might have another room that has a broken window that also faces the left floor off that north end. There's a little bit of movement unknown if it's going to be the curtains or not. I'm going to be working to get a better eye on it.
Okay, Jair, we are facing north. We are facing north.
Just confirming that is you guys that's in the broken window that faces the left floor.
We are facing the left floor. We do not have a broken window.
Okay, copy. It looks like you might have another room that has a broken window that also faces the left floor off that north end. There's a little bit of movement unknown if it's going to be the curtains or not. I'm going to be working to get a better eye on it.
Okay, stand by. We've got curtains open on a window that's not broken. We're looking for broken. Okay, it is us. We have the broken window. That's us, Jair.
Corey, Todd.
Go ahead, Todd.
If you can raise a CT, ask them to contact the hotel if they can turn on one of these elevators and get there quicker.
Copy that.
Is it? Okay.
Sure, Mueller, Kevin.
They have security down at the
Go
elevator
ahead.
space as well.
I'm just waiting for you on the 14th.
And they're standing right. So we have crime scene photos showing the floor with the hammer that he allegedly used to break this window open, because Las Vegas has like crazy glass that you can't just break. So he allegedly brought this special hammer that'll break that glass. And we have a photo of that hammer with broken glass all over the floor with just shell casings, just all, because there's 1,000 fucking shell casings in this room at this point, plus 4,000 unspent rounds that he just got bored and didn't want to shoot. Just checked out. So in the photo, we see the ground next to the curtain of the window with the hammer, with all this broken glass and all these shell casings. But in the body cam footage of them going into his room, when that photo should already be exactly like the photo shows us, they can't find the window, and they're not stepping on any broken glass or any shell casings at all. They're looking for it. They can't find it. And there's like 6 officers looking for this window.
How long did it take for that body cam footage to come out after the shooting?
You know, I don't know exactly. But I believe it was months and months and months. It might have been a year or more.
I think that's right.
Yeah, right? Because it was never supposed to come out. It was never even supposed to exist.
But all coverage, as you said at the very outset, all coverage of the shooting had just died and was never spoken of again.
Yeah, it lasted like 4 or 5 days. And you can see graphs. People have kind of charted the number of stories about it. And it's just like everyone's talking about it for 2 days and then just gone, completely gone. And then YouTube started banning accounts for talking about it.
Come on.
All the different social media agencies started banning accounts for it. Yeah. And I have screenshots of
on what grounds?
Of things that are because well, the grounds was spreading dangerous conspiracy theories and misinformation. But there had happened to have been a active shooter drill that was done in the area like the week before or something like that, the day before. I think it was the day before. And so they've been recruiting crisis actors for this active shooter drill that was being run in the area, which, you know, if you learn enough about these kinds of events, you realize that drills are a huge red flag. But I believe what was done is that then they accused these conspiracy theorists of basically doing the Sandy Hook thing, and they strawmanned the journalism that was happening to say, you're claiming that no one died, and that's so evil because you're saying that they're all crisis actors, and so we're going to ban you. And that's not what anyone was saying. No one was saying that no one died. No one was saying that it was all crisis actors. But they sort of finagled the one thing into the other thing into the other thing to say, well, there was an active shooter drill, so it was all legit, and you're all saying it was fake, which they weren't, and so you're banned. And so a bunch of channels got taken down. A bunch of journalists got banned off of platforms, and they did their best to shut it all down. But people didn't stop. People just kept digging and digging.
That is
digging.
crazy.
Yeah. So they breach. They can't find the window. About a minute later, they breach the other room. And this is another impossibility with the official story. Paddock rents these 2 suites. One is like the master suite because those towers, they're kind of like these 3-pronged towers, and you can rent the suite that's at the end of the tower where you have like the 180-degree windows of the whole end of the tower, and he rents the one facing out towards this event. But he also rented, well, it's not exactly facing towards, it's like next to. Then he also rented the room right next door, and they're adjoining. And so there's a door that connects the two. And the official story is that the windows in both rooms were broken out, and that he was shooting through the one room with his bolt-action rifle to try to blow up the fuel tanks over at the airport, and he failed to do so. But he was in the other room shooting his bolt-action rifle, and then he was running back to the other room with his ARs and rapid fire bump stocking with his bump stock that never jammed. That's the official story. But then the police get in there, and the side room is bolted from the other side. And he's the only one that's there. There's no one else in the rooms, apparently. And the way they say that is because his room was bolted from the inside. The side room, but the side room was also bolted, and they had to breach it with explosive breaching charges. And it's on, you can see it on camera. And so
he was magic, is what you're saying?
He was magic, right? Because you can't bolt your side room from the other side while you're in a mass shooting spree and then wind up in your room and shoot yourself in the head. You can't do it. And so there's all these little things that
physics intervenes.
Exactly. That physics and just reality intervenes once the evidence started to come out. And they've never really acknowledged any of that. That's all just kind of.
They've never acknowledged it.
No. I mean, how could you? There's no acknowledging to be done.
What did Levi Hancock just say?
After UNC and Captain Lee went about 15 to 18 from 19.
He took out 2 windows.
He took out 2 women.
Yeah, and by the way, by then, Lombardo was busy being chief of police in Lahaina, if I'm not mistaken.
You're not mistaken.
Right?
Yeah.
So he was at his next important job.
Where is he now?
I don't know. That's a good question. Someone should track him down.
Every time you come around, you know I can't say no.
And maybe move far away from him. But so that's the room. And just the room, just the footage of that, just that is enough to say it's all horse shit. And you have to go back to square one and start over with what actually did happen.
And no one who put out that story, no official in charge, either Clark County Sheriffs, LVMPD, FBI, no one has ever explained how Stephen Paddock could have locked himself out,
to my knowledge,
of his adjoining suite.
Yep. But they also don't explain how the locks appear to have been tampered with. There's a whole bunch of weird locks. So someone, I forget his name, I have him sourced in my notes. He got the door logs from the hotel. I don't know if he had a source at the hotel or something, but he got the official, because the Las Vegas surveils everything, and they have logs of the locks of every single room, of when it's closed, when it's open, whether it was open from the inside or the outside, the deadbolt status. And they have the time recorded and everything. And there's a shot heard by a witness earlier in the day at like 3:30 in the afternoon, which is kind of maybe related, but it's sort of a different story. But then throughout the day there, in the afternoon, the deadbolts start doing really weird things where it's like open, close, open, close, open, close. And then at one point, what does it do? The door is open from the inside, logged, and then the next log is deadbolt unlocked, meaning that after some weird deadbolt stuff has been happening, then at a certain point, it displays something that's physically impossible, which is that the door was open before it was unlocked, and then it was unlocked, which would imply, based upon, this is what other researchers, kind of gathered at the time, and I would agree, based on what I've seen of the evidence that they pulled out, is that means that you have just hacked the keycard system so that you can maybe remotely be unlocking and locking these doors, or you have some sort of altered access to these rooms. And that would start to explain how the locks could be locked from the inside with no one in there, right? Because if you throw away the garbage Stephen Paddock story, you still have to explain how you wound up with 2 suites with a dead man inside, with the bolts locked from the inside. And no broken windows.
On either side.
Yeah, on either side. Well, actually, I believe we aren't entirely clear, because we have some helicopter footage, we have some body cam footage, and we have this bullshit narrative. I believe that the window in the other suite was broken out. And I think that we have that on the helicopter footage.
I want to come back to center. I'm going to come back to center. Is it this bus?
Yeah, it's an open line with a female saying there's booty. Female saying there's booty.
It's over there. It's over there. It's over there. It's over there.
Control, that is correct. Shots. Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired from Mandalay Bay. Shots fired. Shots fired. Control, that is correct. Shots fired from Mandalay Bay. There's many people down. Stage left.
Stay on this side. Give me cover. Stay with them. Coming from. Somebody in the CT, can you tell me where it's coming from? Let's get that fucking call. Somewhere in Mandalay Bay, it's at the intersection. It almost sounds like that call. Somewhere in Mandalay Bay, it's at the intersection.
And I think you can kind of see it, like, it's a little hard to make it out and like some of the photos taken from the ground that night, but there are some HD photos where you can kind of make out that it looks like there is kind of a broken window in the other room, but it's Paddock's room where the majority of the gunfire allegedly came from. That's where you see this police entrance where they can't find the window that's broken out and all that. So
I guess the picture that emerges is one in which the facts not only don't support the narrative, the story, but they're like completely at odds with. It's not a close call. It's not like, oh, did I see someone on the grassy knoll? I'm not sure. Yeah. Let's look at the.
It's not like Butler where you have to get 10 miles deep into the reporting to be like, wait, what is with these cell phones?
This is just transparently fraudulent.
Yeah, like right in the original video evidence, you can see the helicopters in the original footage that people put out from their cell phones. You can hear in the original evidence that was all over the internet that night. You can just hear the gunfire and know that it's not ARs with bump stocks. It's just not, right? And then you can obviously hear all the testimony from all of the people of all of these other things that happened that night that are complete lies. They're all made up. It's just people hearing echoes 2 hours later.
Why wouldn't... So this is why I went out to Las Vegas twice in 2017, but then just got caught up in life.
There's always more stories.
Yeah, or... short attention span. I'm not making excuses, but I didn't realize that the corpus of counter evidence was so enormous. It certainly merits an FBI investigation.
Oh, it certainly does. But here's the thing: is I think they know everything that happened.
But was there ever an official FBI investigation?
No. Well, yeah. It depends on how you define it. The FBI was involved in the original investigation, and I believe that the FBI did rule on, a certain element of this, and then the LVMPD put out their own report as well, and they put out a behavioral analysis of Paddock like a year later or something like that.
And I remember two things, but the FBI signed off on the totally absurd official conclusion.
Yeah,
they did. Okay.
58 Americans dead, over 800 injured, and today, after nearly 16 months of investigation, the FBI has found no specific motive in that Las Vegas massacre.
Today, the FBI announced its inquiry into the 1 October mass shooting is complete without any conclusion on why.
No clear motive in the 1 October shooting. The FBI issuing its final report today. The FBI issuing its final report today. It offers just limited insights into what actually fueled the nation's worst shooting rampage.
Well, no motive. That is the conclusion the FBI has come up with in its investigation into the Las Vegas mass shooting.
So this is the report that the FBI released today. They spent more than a year investigating, and as you can see, it's not even 3 full pages.
I believe that we will have a report that will be finalized before the anniversary date. Now, that's a long time for some people. But speaking for the FBI, that's light speed. All right? And again, it will be thorough.
They did. Okay.
I believe so.
And B, his brother, I remember, got busted for kiddie porn.
Yeah, I don't actually know much about that.
I don't either, but
I
just having lived in DC my whole life, I associate.
It was a while after the fact, right?
Yeah, and it's like a joke in Washington. The kiddie porn. I mean, kiddie porn is disgusting, and I couldn't be more opposed to it. I hate pornography in general, but kiddie porn specifically has a reputation in DC, not among ignorant people, but among people who pay attention, as like the hallmark of a manufacturer's story. Like, oh, he got arrested for kiddie porn, he can't talk or whatever. And as soon as I heard that, I was like,
George Zinn at
very much
Charlie
like
Kirk
George Zinn
assassination. So
people are laughing about that. Who I know. Oh, of course, the guy's busted for kiddie porn.
Yeah.
Of course,
shut him up. Get him away from the story.
I'm not. Look, I have no specific evidence about George Zinn or about Stephen Paddock's brother, but that is a very well known. It's a joke. It's a cliche.
Yep. And especially when it's just so coincidental that it's like, yeah, there are sickos out there, but is it just, is it always that the, brother or associated, the witness, are they always the ones? Are they the sickos?
They're always into kiddie porn, and you can't talk to them.
But so you kind of bring us back to an interesting place here where once you throw the narrative out, you're like, all right, where do you even start with this? And for me, where you start is Stephen Paddock is like, who is this guy?
Yes.
Who is he really? And, I need to do even more in this. Back when I got into this story, there was just a million directions and I didn't go far enough down them. And I was doing that again more recently a little bit. Because who is Stephen Paddock, right?
Yeah.
And why the fuck would he even have been there? Because it is factual that he did have all these guns in the room. It is factual that he did rent the room. And he was there. And there's, the picture emerges a little more when you look at his backstory, which is the basics is that he was 60-ish years old at this point. And back in like the 80s, into like the late 80s, he had worked at a defense contractor that was a predecessor to, I believe it was Lockheed Martin. And it's not like he was like, some commando shooting guns as far as I'm aware. I think he was, in some sort of office element of this defense contractor. And then I forget if he hopped directly into real estate. I think he had one sort of like intermediary where he was doing, not sales, but he was still kind of like adjacent to the defense industry kind of end of the 80s. And then he got into real estate. And then allegedly he developed a gambling problem. And so he had, a net worth of several $1 million allegedly, but then he allegedly gambled it down over time. There's a lot of dispute over whether you make lots of money gambling or not. But
I remember that.
Yeah, right. But that little detail about him having worked in the defense industry in the past and then going into like the nondescript real estate is like, that's not suspicious on its face. Lots of people change careers over time. But it is a little interesting that a guy that used to work, and I don't have any proof of what I'm about to say, it's just kind of conjecture based upon that. But it's interesting that a guy that used to work in the defense contracting industry back in kind of his prime years, like, in his 30s sort of, then he goes into sort of a nondescript industry where your income can be fluid and things, you can be traveling, you can be in property, all these things. And then he winds up with what looks like an awful lot like a kind of deep statey sort of an arms deal sort of thing, an arms deal that's involved in this absolute mass shooting. That does give me pause and question of like, was he a private citizen that was stopped? Because we'll get into the evidence that he thought he was doing an arms sale in a little bit, but I believe that he thought he was going to sell those guns. And I think that's why he had them all there. And that comes down to the 3 women that were on the room with him. But the moment that you realize that you're being lied to about him being the shooter, you need an explanation for why the hell is he there with all these fucking guns? Because, I've been to Vegas and I didn't bring, a whole arsenal of weapons with me and a whole arsenal of loaded magazines as well.
Right. I mean, you don't bring, 6 rifles to go deer hunting or anywhere. How many rifles did he have?
I believe it was 25 rifles. Well, it was, what was It was 25 weapons in the room, I believe was the final count. Might have been 24 in the room. And he had 1 revolver and 1 bolt action rifle, and then all the rest were AR platforms. And then he also had a whole bunch of weapons at his other 2 houses as well. He had like 25 other guns at his other houses. And he just bought a bunch for this.
And he was knowledgeable about guns. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
So who are the 3 women and why do we think he was planning to sell them?
Well, at first they didn't exist. But then investigative journalists dug and they found out that there were 3 other women on the hotel reservation officially. Their names were on the hotel reservation. The hotel knew they were there. And I believe that they were checked into the side suite, basically, is my assumption. I don't know if that was proven or not, but the side suite was booked with Stephen Paddock's girlfriend's credit card, Mary Lou Danley. And these 3 women, I have their names written down. We know their first names because their first names were said, I believe it was on one of the police body cameras that was eventually released during the night.
All right. Okay, so room 135 on the 32nd floor, registered guest, last name is Paddock.
There's also 3 females that are registered to that room. First name is Joanne, Joanne. Last name. Second subject, Laura. Last name. Third subject, Katie. Last name. They checked in on 25 September. Scheduled to check out on October 2nd.
But we don't know their last names. Witnesses described having allegedly seen him gambling that day or the day before with women that looked to be of Hispanic descent or like Central South American descent. And so their names kind of match. Maybe they were some sort of Latina women. He had tannerite in his car is a key piece of this. He had 50 pounds of tannerite in his car, which is usually used when you want to make things go boom, not like I'm going to blow up a building, but like we're going to go shoot in the desert and have a great time.
50 pounds is a lot of tannerite.
It's a lot of tannerite.
So tannerite is...
But he also had a lot of guns.
Ammonium nitrate.
Yeah.
And you can buy it in gun stores, and it detonates not with fire, but with velocity, with force. Yeah. And so you hit it with a rifle round and it explodes, and it's powerful. And 50 pounds is enough to take your house out.
Go ahead. Cover your ears. Cover your ears. It's that Jif bottle. Watch that.
Wow.
All right, here's the old barn. Today the barn goes away. So what we've got here is 164 pounds of tannerite in a Rubbermaid tub. Bench ready now, but the tannerite will be sitting on the bucket underneath these main beams of the barn. Alright, so we cleared out all the metal railing, the cattle fencing from here, and that was out behind the back of the barn. It's back there laying on the ground, just flat back behind the hill. But we tried to clear out all the metal. That'll be the last piece we take out with the tannerite up on the target.
Oh my God. You wanted it down. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And so we don't really know why he had that or what he was doing with it. But my understanding is that tannerite can be used for lots of things, but it is often used to like stage like a fun gun shooting moment. Like
I've never seen it used for anything other than that.
Yeah, right.
And it's dangerous. I mean, for sure.
absolutely.
I've had some problems with it.
Yeah.
It's definitely powerful.
Yeah. And so the tannerite, a lot of people speculated, and I tend to defer to their speculation about it because I have never shot tannerite. I don't know about it. People speculated that given these multiple kind of points of information, is that maybe one line of reasoning would be that he thought he was selling a bunch of weapons to someone rich. This is not something that's fact-based, like we know for sure, but we do know that 3 women, first name only, that we're not supposed to talk about, were registered to this room as well. And we do know that he had the room full of guns, and we do know that he didn't do the shooting. At least I feel pretty confident that I know that. And so then it's like, well, why the hell would you have a room full of guns? And it is not uncommon to sell guns in Las Vegas. I mean, go to SHOT Show, right? And so one possible explanation that might start to put some of those pieces into place is maybe he met some beautiful girls that knew a guy, something along those lines, that was like, hey, I know this really rich guy that wants to buy some guns, and you know guns, right? Maybe he got honeypotted. Maybe it was some sort of operation targeting him to recruit him for this thing. Because, you know, you don't have to just explain it from Stephen Paddock's brain of like, why is this maybe arms sale happening? But you have to explain it from like the big picture explanation of why did whatever organization orchestrated all of this, why did they get Stephen Paddock into that room to do that thing, right?
My character is Agent Lacey, and I try to seduce Seth and James into doing this pretty ridiculous mission.
Would you, like a drink or some of Aaron's cocaine?
This is not our cocaine. This is
No, I'm sure it's not.
So, how can we, what can we do you for?
Yeah, to what do we owe the pleasure?
Well, Aaron, the point is, we're talking about nuclear nations at war with each other.
Nuclear.
He does have one tactical advantage over the West.
Ba-bam. Explosions all over my face.
I'm sorry, we had kind of a long night last night. Why are you telling us all this?
Take him out.
Take him out.
Like for drinks?
No. Take him out.
Take out. Like to dinner?
Take him out to a meal?
Take him out.
Like on the town?
Party?
No,
Are you, Agent Lacey, going to be involved?
I'm going to be in your ear, by your side, every step of the way.
You know what? Actually, I think we should talk about it more. Okay,
All right. We're just gonna go talk.
We're just gonna talk.
By
about
all
it.
means.
I think we need to do this. She is so cool.
You don't see what's happening, and it's so obvious. It's crazy,
What?
man. They're honeypotting us.
What?
It's an attractive spy woman who lures men into doing shit they're not supposed to do. How can you not see that?
Because that is so sexist.
Is it?
This is 2014. Dude, women are smart now.
Do you actually think she just so happens to have everything you find attractive? Bangs, giant tits, glasses? They're fake, man.
Fake glasses?
She honeypots us. It's an attractive spy woman who lures men into doing something they're not supposed to do. They're fake, man.
Fake glasses? What happened to your glasses?
I got LASIK.
She's beautiful, she's smart, she's kind of like the ultimate all-in-one.
You just say yes to everything she wants.
We're going to really learn a lot more about what happened in Vegas once we learn the identities of these 3 women.
All right. Okay, so room 135 on the 32nd floor. Registered guest, his last name is Paddock. On the 32nd floor. That's where they believe the shooting's coming from. The guest name's Paddock, Paddock. O-C-K. First name Steven with a P-H. And he's registered there with 3 other females. I don't know, you want all their names. Are you there? Yeah, there's 3 other females staying there with him. I don't know if they have anyone on that floor yet. Last I heard, SWAT was on the 31st floor. I don't know if they're making that up.
2017, 23 hours and 57 seconds.
I've got a couple units up in the control room, and they're briefing that on the 32nd floor, room 135, possible suspect ID is going to be last name Easy, Adam, David, Ocean, Charlie, King. First name Steven with a PH. That's who the room is registered to. Break. There's also 3 females that are registered to that room. First name is Joanne, Joanne. Last name. Second subject, Laura. Last name. Third subject, Katie. Last name. They checked in on 25 September. Scheduled to check out on October 2nd.
I lean towards, speculatively, that he was probably selected as a patsy for being some, like, you know, kind of vulnerable, unimportant guy that was, you know, down on his luck a little bit maybe and wanted to make some money selling guns. Who maybe he was more involved. Maybe he had some intelligence connections. I don't know. But I suspect that he was basically recruited by some hot girls to sell some guns to someone rich or something along those general lines. And so he's bringing all these guns to Vegas.
He took out 2 windows. He took out 2 windows.
Or he's, you know, stocking his room with all these guns to go out and shoot in the desert the next day, maybe. He didn't bring the Tannerite up to his room. He left the Tannerite in the car. But if you went to Vegas, you probably wouldn't leave an arsenal of guns in your car.
No.
You would want those secured in your room. And he has all these magazines loaded, right? All these magazines are loaded. And that would make sense if he's trying to do a mass shooting. But the moment that you realize that the evidence just does not support him doing the mass shooting, then it's like, well, why are the magazines all loaded? Why is this arsenal here ready like this? And if you were going to go shoot in the desert, that would be a thing you would do, is you would load a bunch of magazines. So hard to, we don't know exactly why those pieces fit together, but that's one of the most common theories. Is that these 3 women that were on the room with him, in the side suite probably, that they probably had some sort of middleman connection, because how do
we
women
see
usually get
any motive? I mean, did the authorities ever give us a hint of a motive?
Well, let's go to our correspondent, Jonathan Hunt, who's in our West Coast newsroom with the details of this report. Jonathan?
Good evening, Harris. For those who lost loved ones or who survived that terrible traumatic night, it is a disappointing end to a 10-month investigation that has left us no closer to uncovering a motivation for the massacre. Paddock opened fire, as you said, from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, killing 58 people attending that concert. He had spent several days bringing in an arsenal of weapons and ammunition to the hotel, but as seen on this security camera footage, nothing about his luggage caused alarm among hotel employees. And while he had complained to friends about feeling constantly in pain or fatigued, and his doctor described him as, quote, odd and possibly bipolar, nothing about his behavior raised any red flags.
By all accounts, Stephen Paddock was an unremarkable man whose movements leading up to October 1st didn't raise any suspicion. An interview with his doctor indicated signs of a troubled mind, but no troubling behavior that would trigger a call to law enforcement.
Because to murder strangers...
No, they objectively said we have no idea what the motive was.
They said that out loud.
No, yeah, exactly. They and you can watch our favorite sheriff. He has a couple different versions of the quote of, like, we figured out the what, the when, the where, the who. The one thing we don't know is the why.
But the why is the one thing that matters.
Exactly.
And that's so often a theme that runs through these things. And when there is a clearly articulated motive, as in a manifesto, sometimes it's suppressed. It's like, I mean, Osama bin Laden's manifesto was suppressed. It's still being suppressed.
Even though it went viral on TikTok recently.
Right. So I do think it's essential to know what he used a weapon. Of course he did. He killed people. I know. But why? I've got 1 million weapons. I would never kill anybody. So what's the difference between me and him? That's the thing you need to know.
You bring up Osama bin Laden right as it's a good time to start talking about the Saudi angle on this thing, which is super interesting. Because you're right, the why for Stephen Paddock is non-existent, and that's the official narrative, is that there's no idea why.
Can I just give the context too, the political context? This is less than a year after Trump's election.
Yeah.
This is a Jason Aldean concert. These are Trump voters. Jason Aldean is not a political activist, but he's open about his politics and they're Trump aligned. He's also a great guy.
Yeah.
I will say. But so these are Trump voters who get killed. At the time, less than a year after Trump's election, all anyone's talking about is Trump. People are extremely exercised about it. So it's hard to ignore that kind of.
I think it's impossible to ignore it.
We went after Iraq. They did not knock down the World Trade Center, okay? It wasn't the Iraqis that knocked down the World Trade Center. We went after Iraq. We decimated the country. Iran's taken over, okay. But it wasn't the Iraqis. You will find out who really knocked down the World Trade Center because they have papers in there that are very secret. You may find it's the Saudis, okay?
Every time you come around, you know I can't say no. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control.